Let's rewind back to the beginning of the series. Easy monies, that is, monies that are easy to proliferate, lead to inflation and their inevitable demise. Fiat money is easy money, nothing more and nothing less. Recall from the previous videos how those who are able to produce the money become wealthy in resources because they, in turn, have the ability to purchase everything from everyone at little to no cost. Thus, it is crucial for an economy to use sound money, like gold once upon a time. Before we get into Bitcoin, however, I would like to discuss one last thing, something known around the world as petrodollars. The previous video ended with the US government effectively defaulting on its gold IOUs to the rest of the world, which probably left you wondering why we still have enough faith to use the fiat money, US dollars, as today's reserve currency of the world. Ultimately, the answer lies in two things: oil and an incredible army backing the US dollar. After the 70s, when President Nixon finally removed the US dollar's peg to gold due to the high amounts of unpayable debt, or, in other words, printing lots of US dollars to fund American projects, foreigners simply couldn't trust the US to ever repay their debts, and this mistrust eventually leads to investments leaving the country. Such loss in investments lead to a massive sale of US dollars and diminished productivity in the US. As a result, the American government had to find a way to incentivize foreigners to continue holding US dollars. Therefore, in 1973, Nixon's administration had an incredible thought. What's one thing that everyone absolutely needs, and how do we monopolize it? The US government made a deal with petroleum exporting countries in the Persian Gulf to only accept US dollars as payment for their oil. These countries, in return, received military support and protection from those darn Soviet communists. Hence, the name Petrodollars was born, and no one has ever been able to escape the US dollar's kingdom ever since. Those few who have tried unsurprisingly always end up involved in a war with the US, Iraq being a prime example of this. Seeing as everyone is forced to use US dollars for international settlement of economic transactions, and the US dollar is effectively backed by military power and oil, the American government has had the power to control the money supply of the modern world and run government deficits with little to no consequences so far. These ever-mounting piles of debt create worldwide economies that run on nothing but debt. Inevitably, much like in the first videos of this series, economic reality sets in and monies unable to store value across time get discarded by people, and fiat money, no matter how hard it tries, is not immune to such economic realities. Let's perform a test on fiat money. Storing value across scales. Fiat money is able to store value across scales very easily. It is divisible enough for small transactions, and it can be compiled into large amounts for large transactions. Storing value across space. Fiat money, given the immense and centralized banking infrastructures, is able to store value across space quite easily. One can electronically send money across the world at relatively low costs. Storing value across time. Here lies the US dollar's ultimate defect. As we've seen throughout this whole series, one cannot trust centralized entities to responsibly control money. Inevitably, the temptations and pressures prove too much for the central entity to refrain from devaluing the money. There's always a reason to produce more money and, in turn, tax every single person holding that money through inflation. The US dollar has been losing value ever since its birth. Have you ever wondered why your grandparents could purchase a lot more things with their dollars back in the day, even when technology back then was not as productive as it is today? Easy money is unsustainable, but how do we escape it? In this short quote, I'll let Professor Friedrich August von Hayek explain what we must do to escape fiat money.
I don't believe that we should ever have a good money again before we take the thing out of the hands of government. We can't take them violently out of the hands of government. All we can do is, by some sly roundabout way, introduce something they can't stop.